in just a moment, we'll have a conversation that continues to look at the CCTV cameras. Just how much of an effective tool are they in crime-fighting efforts and the critical part of monitoring them? So how does it all work? And the data that then, some of these cameras are capturing on a daily basis, where does it get stored and what happens to that particular data? You think about the protection of information, and the Act in South Africa very clear around what must happen to that data that is then collected. So we'll talk about that and also look at whether or not does this always, link up with response time? Because that's also one of the big issues when you think about CCTV cameras, is the fact that right now you then, monitoring some of these cameras, but can you then link that up with response time? Do you always have the personnel to link this up with response time? So let's now have this conversation with Dr. Chris de Kock, and he's a crime analyst and former SAPS Crime Information Analysis Center head. Thank you so much for your time, Dr. de Kock. Let's just start first with, is this, on the face of it, for a number of people, it looks good. It looks like it's a good move to have cameras everywhere in order to be able to try and fight crime. But is it really a good move?
Yeah, well, cameras, lightning and cameras, and those are all things that can be used to scare off criminals. Access control, all of those things. But then you must remember, it's not just the case you buy the cameras, you put them up, and now you are scaring the criminals. Many, many years ago, this is not a new thing, about 20, 30 years ago, Johannesburg were full of cameras. But what you need is, if you want to use it as a preventative measure, you need boots on the street. So you need plenty of police officers basically on each street and around each corner. And then you need a control room, so that cameras are linked to the control room. And when you see criminal behavior at a certain point, say at camera number 53, then immediately the boots should be sent in that direction, so that they can actually prevent and catch the criminal in the act. And the problem there is you need a lot of people in the streets. And you need people who can watch the cameras, the visuals, all the time, and their attention span is about 30 to 40 minutes. So you need a person to circulate every 30 to 40 minutes. So that is now if you want to use cameras as prevention.
Yeah. And Dr. de Kock, before you continue, pardon me, just on that point, because I don't want us to lose it. So you have these individuals, right, that are monitoring, as you were saying. So these particular individuals, are they skilled in this particular, craft to be able to monitor and to study these particular patterns? Or can you take just anybody to monitor?
No, you will have to give them the skills. And as I say, you have to pay special attention, the people in the ops center, in the operational center, which are watching the videos, to have their attention on that. They must look at the smallest thing that happens in the street. Otherwise, they won't see a criminal deed. They won't see a pickpocketing. They won't see a common robbery where somebody grabbed a cell phone from somebody's belt. So they have to have full attention on that screen. Now, if it's on a smaller scale, if you want to do crime prevention on a smaller scale, say at the school premises during night or at the government premises during night time, and there's not much movement in the street, you have a sort of a area which is quite not much movement in the vicinity, you can put up cameras which only switch on if there is movement, and then take a video clip, send it to the control room, and now somebody can see somebody is tampering with the gates of the school. And immediately there can be a reaction unit being sent there, because these people are breaking into the school and they're going to steal all the computers and everything in that school. So that on a small scale, that what they call videofied cameras are actually very effective, even in private complexes, estates. Yeah. I live here in a complex and we have these videofied cameras. And the moment something moves on the outside, even 3 o'clock at night, they will phone and say there's now somebody tampering with the fence. And the reaction unit will also come out and try to arrest the people or at least scare them off.
And Dr. de Kock, let's talk about then the information that is collected throughout the day, throughout the night as well. What happens to it and where is it being stored?
Okay, I actually want to quickly go to a third function.
Okay.
And that is the investigative function. Cameras can be used for investigation. Now, up to now in South Africa, we have tried to use them, but not so successful because you don't have full camera coverage. Maybe now in Johannesburg it will be better. But just to mention one example, I was by accident I was in Australia in the city of Melbourne, and at that point it was 2 days before we came back, and there was a murder in a park, and the police immediately saw a man stabbing a young girl because he wanted to sell drugs to her, and she just told him she's not interested.
Yeah.
So he stabbed her to death. He walked to the gate, all the cameras follow him to what gate he left the park. He go across the street, they get into a bus, they can see the number of the bus. They then have a camera on the bus, and this camera see after 15 kilometers this guy get off the bus. And the camera also take the bus stop. What number is that bus stop? And then they see he walk down the street and he enter a house about 10 houses away. So they immediately went to the house and arrested him.
So here in South Africa, can we then have cases that rely on this? Is this evidence that can be presented and admissible in court?
Yeah, I think it can.
Okay.
I mean, this is clear footage. I don't know why, and it can be used to solve the case.
All right. Dr. de Kock, thank you so much for that. Do appreciate it because it is quite helpful, especially as we are trying to piece together as to how it all needs to work and to ensuring that these are, in fact, effective tools when it comes to crime-fighting efforts. That's Dr. Chris de Kock, crime analyst and former SAPS Crime Analysis Center head.